Naples, 2024. Italian police arrest a Camorra clan boss on a Tuesday morning. The cameras flash, the prosecutors hold a press conference, the newspapers run the story for 48 hours, and then silence. Because within weeks, someone else is running the same territory, collecting the same protection money, moving the same cocaine through the same streets. Nothing changes, not really. And that is what makes this organization different from every other mafia on earth. The Sicilian Cosa Nostra has a commission. The Ndrangheta has its family-based hierarchy. The American Mafia has bosses, underbosses, consiglieri, a structure you could draw on a napkin. The Camorra has none of that. No supreme boss, no central command, no governing body. Just 180 autonomous clans warring and allying and splitting and regenerating across the city of Naples and the Campania region of southern Italy, generating billions of euros every single year. This is the mafia that runs without a boss, and that is exactly what makes it unkillable. To understand why the Camorra works the way it does, you have to understand where it came from. And where it came from is chaos. The roots go back to the 1600s, street gangs, prison societies, and gambling rackets in the alleyways of Naples. The word itself likely comes from the Neapolitan dialect, Camorra, meaning with the Mora, a reference to a street game that gamblers played while thugs collected protection fees from anyone watching. The first official use of the word Camorra appears in 1735 in a royal decree authorizing gambling houses in Naples. But the criminal organization as we know it, the secret society, the code of silence, the territorial control, took shape in the 19th century inside Neapolitan prisons. When Italy unified in 1861, the political upheaval gave these prison gangs an opening. They moved into extortion, robbery, and political corruption. They became part of the fabric of the city, and for a while they had a centralized structure, an old world honored society with rituals and ranks. That ended in 1911. The Cutolo trial, triggered by the murder of a suspected informant and his wife, indicted 34 Camorra members and dismantled the centralized hierarchy for good. What replaced it was something far more dangerous, not one organization, but dozens, then hundreds, each one independent, each one fighting for its own territory. Mussolini's fascist regime tried to finish the job in the 1920s. Aggressive policing, mass trials, forced exile. By 1930, most people believed the Camorra had been wiped out entirely. They were wrong. The clans went dormant. They waited. And their opportunity came at the end of World War II. Allied bombing had destroyed Naples. Poverty was everywhere. Unemployment was catastrophic. In 1943, when American forces invaded Italy, they made deals with Camorra bosses, offering intelligence and port protection in exchange for allowing the clans to operate. The black market for food and cigarettes exploded. And just like that, the Camorra was back. Not as one thing, as many things, growing in the rubble like weeds through concrete. By the late 1960s, Naples had become the center of international tobacco smuggling. The instrument of this trade was the Scafi blue-hulled speedboats 10 to 15 meters long, fitted with engines that could hit 40 knots. They were custom built in local shipyards with hidden cargo compartments and painted dark blue to vanish against the nighttime sea. By the 1970s, this smuggling network was generating roughly $215 million a year. Between 40,000 and 60,000 people in Campania were employed in the trade: boat operators, warehouse workers, distributors, lookouts. More than 300 Scafi Blue were running routes across the Adriatic and the Mediterranean. One man, Michele Zaza, known as O Pazzo, the Madman, built a multi-million euro empire controlling cigarette routes from his base in Portici. When cigarette profits started declining in the early 1980s, with falling prices and stricter enforcement, the clans did not collapse. They pivoted. The same boats, the same routes, the same networks, now carrying cocaine and heroin instead of Marlboros. No board meeting, no corporate memo, no permission from a boss of bosses. Each clan made the decision independently. That adaptability, the ability to shift an entire supply chain without anyone's approval, is the Camorra's signature. That is what every law enforcement agency in the world has been trying to understand ever since. The ecosystem that enabled it was Naples itself. The geography matters. Secondigliano, Scampia, Casal di Principe, the wider Campania region. These are places where poverty runs deep, where unemployment is endemic, where government services barely function. The Camorra fills the vacuum. It provides what the state does not: jobs, loans, protection, and dispute resolution. Omerta, the code of silence, is not just tradition here. It is survival. In 1983, Italian law enforcement estimated there were about a dozen Camorra clans. By 1987, there were 26. By 1988, 32. Today, roughly 180. Clan leader Pasquale Galasso put it best when he told a court, "Campania can get worse because you could cut into a Camorra group, but another 10 could emerge from it." He was not exaggerating. Other mafias have org charts. The Camorra has a living ecosystem. And to understand how 180 criminal organizations can operate simultaneously without a central authority, you have to understand the Sistema. That's what they call it in Naples. The Sistema, the system. No cupola, no commission, no boss of bosses. Each clan is an autonomous unit controlled by a single capo with anywhere from 10 to several hundred affiliates depending on the clan's power. Each clan controls a discrete territory, sometimes an entire municipality, sometimes a single neighborhood, sometimes a few city blocks. And the core of every clan is blood. Kinship bonds. Tight family ties that form the inner circle. Trust does not come from rank. It comes from being someone's brother, cousin, nephew, son. Alliances between clans exist, but they are temporary, situational, profit-driven, not structural. The Secondigliano Alliance, a coalition of the Licciardi, Cuinis, and Malardo clans, is one of the most powerful alliances in modern Camorra history. But even that is an agreement of convenience, not a hierarchy. Meanwhile, the Mozzarella clan has maintained its independence for decades, refusing every unification attempt since the 1970s. And here is something most people do not know about the Camorra. Women run clans. Maria Licciardi led the powerful Licciardi clan. She was arrested at Rome's Ciampino airport in August 2021, trying to board a flight to Spain. Rosaria Pagano commanded the Amato Pagano faction. In 2020, Italian police took down a drug operation in Torre Annunziata, led by Anna Gallo, a 74-year-old widow of a murdered Camorra affiliate. In this system, power does not care about gender. It cares about who can hold territory. The decision-making is what makes it all work, and what makes it so dangerous. No central authority means no permission is needed. A clan sees an opportunity, it acts. A clan feels threatened, it goes to war. There is no mediation, no appeals process, no one to call when things go sideways. Compare this to Cosa Nostra. When Toto Riina was captured, the Sicilian Mafia was decapitated. The entire structure wobbled. But when a Camorra boss is captured, his clan fragments, regroups, or gets absorbed by another. The system continues. Cut off a head, and two more grow back. That is not a flaw in the design. That is the design. The revenue this system generates is staggering. Drug trafficking is the core, cocaine and hashish primarily, and heroin to a lesser extent. Supply lines run from South America through Spain and the Netherlands into Naples. Across Italy's three major mafias, drug trafficking alone generates an estimated 8 billion euros per year, and the Camorra controls a significant share of that. At its peak, the De Lauro clan in Secondigliano was pulling in more than 500,000 euros a day from drug sales alone, making it the largest open-air drug market in Europe. But drugs are only the beginning. Extortion, the pizzo, is everywhere. Businesses across Naples pay protection money just to keep their doors open. Construction companies, retail shops, restaurants, all touched. The Camorra controls counterfeiting operations that flood Europe with fake luxury goods, fake currency, and even fake pharmaceuticals. The waste is central too. Terra dei Fuochi, the land of fires, lies between Naples and Caserta, Camorra. Clans offer companies cut-rate toxic waste disposal with zero overhead and zero regulation. They bury it in fields. They dump it in rivers. They burn it at night. The result is one of the worst environmental and public health crises in Western Europe. In 2006, the Naples rubbish crisis exposed the system to the world. The Camorra's reach extends far beyond garbage and street-level dealing. They control the milk industry, the fish industry, the coffee trade, and over 2,500 bakeries in Naples. In 2020, police discovered 14 Camorra-linked restaurants operating in central Rome. In 2023, authorities froze 290 million euros in assets connected to the De Lauro clan, 639 buildings, and 12 companies. Internationally, the Camorra operates in Spain, France, the Netherlands, Colombia, and Ivory Coast. In 1993, the Camorra and the Sicilian Mafia were accused of running a $1.5 billion money laundering operation through banks, insurance companies, hotels, and casinos across Italy and the French Riviera. Now, there was one man who looked at this chaos and thought he could tame it. His name was Raffaele Cutolo. Born November 4th, 1941, in Ottaviano, a small town near Naples. He was a minor street criminal who killed a man in a fight in 1963 and went to prison. He would spend more than 50 years behind bars. But from inside those walls, Cutolo built something no one had ever built before. On October 24th, 1970, the feast day of his patron saint San Raphael, he founded the Nuova Camorra Organizzata, known as N-Co. His vision was radical. One unified Camorra. One hierarchical structure. One supreme boss at the top, himself. They called him Il Vangelo, the Gospel. He targeted the most vulnerable inmates, young, uneducated, scared, and gave them identity, purpose, protection. When they got out, they went to work for him. He wrote a book of poems and rules that NCO members treated as their Bible. He created initiation rituals, blood oaths, loyalty pledges, modeled on the old Camorra traditions, and it worked. By 1981, NCO had roughly 7,000 members and was providing a living for an estimated 200,000 people in the Naples area. It was the strongest Camorra clan in Italy. Cutolo was not subtle about his ambitions. He invented something called ICA, the Imposta Camorra Aggiunta, a tax on all criminal activity, a percentage of everything. every carton of smuggled cigarettes, every extortion payment, every drug deal. Michel Zaza, the biggest cigarette smuggler in Naples, reportedly paid Cutolo's NCO more than 4 billion lire in just 3 months. But here is the thing about trying to be boss of all bosses in a system that was built to resist exactly that. The other clans fought back. Hard. In 1979, a coalition of powerful bosses formed the Nuova Famiglia, Carmine Alfieri, Mario Fabrosino, the Nuvoletta clan, Antonio Bardolino, and Zaza himself. What followed was war, NECO versus Nuova Familia, from 1978 to 1983. The death toll was approximately 1,500 people. Naples' homicide rate nearly doubled, from 85 in 1979 to 148 in 1980. In 1982, the Italian government passed the Rognoni La Torre law, the first law in Italian history to officially recognize mafia-type associations and enable asset confiscation. And in 1983, Cutolo was transferred to the Asinara Penitentiary on an island off Sardinia. He was the only inmate. His lieutenants were arrested. His empire collapsed. The lesson was carved in blood. The Camorra's decentralized DNA rejected centralization the way an immune system attacks a virus. Cutolo died in prison on February 17, 2021. He had spent a lifetime proving that the Camorra cannot and will not have a single boss. Could a system with no leader ever truly be dismantled? Or does the chaos itself make it permanent? Let me know what you think in the comments. But if Cutolo's war showed the cost of trying to centralize the Camorra, the Scampia feud showed the cost of having no one to keep the peace. No commission, no mediator, no one to settle disputes. When the system's greatest strength becomes its most brutal weakness, people die in the streets. Paolo De Lauro. They called him Ceruzzo the Millionaire. From the Secondigliano neighborhood in northern Naples, he ran one of the most profitable drug operations in European history. His revenue was estimated at 200 million euros per year. He operated a franchise model. Local dealers paid a fee for the right to do business, bought their product from whatever source they could find, and kicked a percentage back up to De Lauro. It worked beautifully until De Lauro went into hiding in 2002, one step ahead of investigators. He left the business to his son, Vincenzo. When Vincenzo was arrested in 2003, another son took over, Cosimo De Lauro. They called him the designer Don, flamboyant, obsessed with designer clothes, and fatally ambitious. Cosimo made a decision that would drench Scampia in blood. He tried to centralize the franchise, remove the autonomy, and replace the old guard with young loyalists who answered only to him. One of his key dealers, Raffaele Amato, refused the new terms. Amato fled to Spain and organized a revolt. On October 28, 2004, Amato ordered the killing of 2 De Lauro loyalists. The Scampia feud had begun. What followed was urban warfare, drive-by shootings with automatic weapons, grenades thrown in residential neighborhoods, roadblocks set up on Scampia streets where cars were stopped and inspected for rival clan members, and hitmen arriving on motorbikes for rapid ambushes. By December, at least 28 people were dead. And then came the killing that changed everything. Gelsomina Verde, 21 years old. She was abducted by Cosimo's men, beaten, tortured, and murdered because they believed she could lead them to a rival gangster, her former boyfriend. Her death caused a wave of public revulsion that swept across Italy. The governor of Campania called it a challenge that must be met. 2 days later, The Italian government dispatched 1,500 police officers to Naples. On December 7, 2004, they arrested 52 suspected gangsters, including Ciro Di Lauro. On January 21, 2005, Cosimo himself was captured. He would later be sentenced to life in prison. On February 26, Raffaele Amato was arrested, and on September 16, 2005, Paolo Di Lauro, the millionaire, was found in a modest apartment in Second di Liano. He was sentenced to 30 years. The final toll of the Scampia feud was over 100 murders in 2004 and 2005. But here's what happened next. The clans did not disappear. They fragmented, reformed, found new leaders, and went to war again. In 2012, the former allies who had made up the secessionists turned on each other in what became known as the Second Scampia feud. The arrests had made headlines around the world. But the machine kept running. Cosimo Di Lauro died in prison in June 2022. His brother Marco was arrested in March 2019 after years as a fugitive and sentenced to life. Maria Licciardi, head of the Second di Liano Alliance's most powerful clan, was arrested at Ciampino Airport in August 2021 while trying to board a flight to Spain. Raffaele Cutolo died behind bars in February 2021, having spent most of his life in a cell. Raffaele Imperiale, one of Naples' biggest drug traffickers, was arrested in Dubai in 2021. In his villa near Naples, police had already found 2 stolen Van Gogh paintings from the Amsterdam Museum, recovered in 2016. He was extradited to Italy in March 2022, and as recently as March 2025, Colombian police captured Emanuele Gregorini, known as Dollarino, in Cartagena. He was a key Camorra cocaine broker coordinating shipments from South American ports. The machine keeps running. Roughly 180 clans remain active. International operations span Spain, France, the Netherlands, Colombia, and West Africa. In 2023 and 2024, Italy's anti-mafia investigators flagged a new trend: Camorra clans infiltrating EU recovery funds. White-collar crime replacing street-level violence as the preferred revenue stream. In September 2025, 88 arrest warrants were issued against members of the Fezza de Vivo clan for mafia association, drug trafficking, and arms offenses. In November 2024, 33 members of the Amato Pagano clan were arrested for importing cocaine and hashish through Spain. The Mozzarella clan and the Secondigliano alliance remain the most powerful groups in the Camorra today, according to National Anti-Mafia Prosecutor Giovanni Melillo's 2023 testimony before the Anti-Mafia Commission. And the judicial system itself struggles to keep up. A 2022 trial against 48 Camorra affiliates dragged on so long that by 2025, clan leaders were released because the trial had exceeded legal time limits. Roberto Saviano, the journalist who exposed all of this in his 2006 book Camorra, is still living under 24-hour police protection. 20 years later, there is a social cooperative operating in Campania today called Nuova Cooperazione Organizzata. The name is deliberate, a direct riff on Raffaele Cutolo's failed Nuova Camorra Organizzata. Founded in 2012, this cooperative works to redeem land confiscated from Camorra clans, turning poisoned ground into social agriculture, growing crops where clans once buried toxic waste. It is a small operation, but the irony of the name says everything. Prosecutor Giovanni Melillo has warned that the issue of organized crime in Naples is not sufficiently present in Italy's national public debate. And maybe that is the real secret to the Camorra's survival, not omerta, not the code of silence enforced by fear, but the silence that comes from indifference. The kind of silence that lets 180 criminal organizations operate in plain sight, generation after generation. The Ndrangheta has overtaken Cosa Nostra as Italy's dominant force in global drug trafficking. Cosa Nostra itself is weakened, down, but not out. In Naples, however, the oldest criminal organization in Italy keeps regenerating. There is no head to cut off, no body to kill, no single leader whose arrest would change anything. Somewhere in Scampia tonight, a new crew is forming, a new territory is being carved out, a new alliance is being struck over a handshake and a threat, and nobody gave the order.